never gonna stop. Give it up. Such a dirty mind, I always get it up. For the touch of my younger kind. My. Whoa, woo! My Tulpa.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man.
ATT Confidential.
Yes, the menage a trois.
Welcome back. 3 days in a row.
Oh, day
Nailing
3,
it.
pod week.
This is really the first day of the real week.
Iron Man.
The setup's
pod
over.
Setup's over.
We've been in here all day.
We've been working, filming stuff, working on stuff,
Going
getting
down
plans.
Going down some dark holes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Trust me.
We're creating tulpas in here.
No,
Yeah.
fuck. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. Actually, no, I don't want to wrap my mind about it.
Stop touching me. It's my tulpa.
It's my tulpa.
My tulpa.
Are you in your tulpa bumping the
my-
imaginary genitalia?
Yeah. Keep your hands. Oh.
Yeah,
Keep
Brayden
his
just went through the
hands off
WikiHow
me.
on how to create a tulpa. And
I did the 14th step.
Yep. He read through it and he accidentally created a tulpa.
I created a tulpa.
What is a tulpa? First of all,
I think it's from like a Tibetan term for like manifestation or emanation.
Right. The idea of the tulpa is rooted in Tibetan Buddhist mysticism, where it's basically a manifestation of your consciousness, a separate manifestation.
Yes.
So another consciousness within your consciousness.
an imaginary friend.
That's a thing of its own. It's not under your control.
There's an uncouth description. It's a very, very base description, but yes, Al.
My imaginary friends are everywhere, boys.
Yes. Now, this one was like when I first heard of it, and it was like, oh yeah, you can create these. The concept of mysticism and paranormal, and you can create these entities in your own brain. I was like, ooh, this could be a little spooky. But digging into this gets real cringy.
Real
Stuff
quick.
gets weird
fast.
real fast. Just like most things that involve your imagination these days. Apparently this whole idea of tulpomancy, which is apparently has come quite into its own in the last.
Got a lot of pages dedicated to it.
Yeah, a lot of subreddits, a lot of internet forums, a lot of weird stuff.
Okay, so before we have an absolute complete meltdown, like I was thinking of these things of like, if you have, your maybe some trauma. In my head, this is what I thought of it would be beforehand. It would be like maybe a little bit of a mental illness, or if we go more paranormal, you've invited something else that's not there, and it's just now you've invited something in from another dimension or something that lives in your psyche.
Oh,
right. That is constantly. Well, it doesn't have to be torturing you, but constantly talking to you and influencing you during your day-to-day. That's kind of what I was thinking in my head. I was like, "Ooh, this could be creepy, right?"
some type of spiritual,
like, what is this?
interdimensional thing.
Yeah, like are we like? Is it some sort of like your brain is reaching through the multiverse? A little call forward to later tonight, and catching some other consciousness, right? That you're making this connection that you can no longer control, and
You invited something in.
You invited something in now. It's just like when you open the portal when we do Ouija, if you don't close it, right, you leave the gate open. You've done that in your mind I always think of it akin to vampires can't, like Buffy, the vampires can't come in unless they're invited.
Right.
So you've done that with tulpas, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, this could be cool and spooky, and I bet that maybe there's cases of bad tulpas and stuff. And then I was like, ooh, not so much.
Way off the mark.
Way off what I was thinking.
So it's not an interdimensional entity attaching itself to you because you invited it?
No, it's basically a girlfriend.
Or boyfriend.
Or boyfriend.
Or anthropomorphic fox person.
Yeah.
Anything.
If
your imagination's good enough.
Very much. Yeah, when I was reading the stuff about tulpomancy.
Yes, tulpomancy. Dan, go with it.
Tulpomancy. A lot of the stuff just sounded like, this sounds a lot like dissociative identity disorder. Multiple, what they call multiple personalities, schizophrenia, things like that. But they said when I read into it, a lot of in a couple of articles, psychologists said no, that's not the case in many of the cases. Like 99% of the cases, like the tulpa kind of concept is very much something that the creator, the tulpamancer, the tulpamancer, has complete control over the actions and of the tulpa that they create, this personality that they create. A lot of times the tulpa will reflect the values and the preconceptions that the tulpamancer.
It's like the tulpamancer. It just, you create it however you want it.
It's a companion.
Yeah.
It's very much it's an imaginary friend is really what it is.
So this thing, you create this tulpa.
Right.
And is this there to talk to and
right.
bounce ideas off of?
Yeah. It doesn't control you. It doesn't make you do things that you want to do. It doesn't reflect values that go contrary to whatever your beliefs are. So if you're a good person, and you're like, oh, I did something because my tulpa told me to, then it's not a tulpa.
Right.
Is what I've got from it. And so...
Yes, because then it's demonic possession.
Yes. 0 to 100 real
0
fast.
to 100. If it's not a tulpa and it's making you do bad things, it's not a tulpa. Because tulpas are only for having sex with.
So I've created a lot of tulpas in my day.
That's what I gathered from our research today. This is such a popular thing that there's a step-by-step process on how to create your own tulpa.
Right. There's at least one WikiHow on how to create a tulpa. How many steps are in it?
14.
14
easy steps.
14.
There's this little fly
Anybody can do it, apparently.
right in front of me. He's driving me nuts.
Is it tulpa? I can't see it.
Is that my tulpa?
That's your tulpa.
Can you guys see this?
You created a tulpa?
Get out of here.
14-step tulpa plan?
Yeah, 14-step tulpa plan. Quite the process. Some of the forums and stuff I was digging into, people talk about taking 150 hours to create and develop their tulpa to where it's its own free-thinking entity. And these people take this very seriously. This is akin to raising another life to them. And if you abandon it, like, it's a lifelong commitment.
It's not a Tamagotchi.
It's not a Tamagotchi. Like, this is with you for the rest of your life. So be very cautious and about what you're doing. Because
carefully create this tulpa.
Carefully, very carefully create. I feel like Pigpen here.
This guy, fucking kill that little bastard.
It's just circling my face here. It's driving me.
It's all the candy we got in here.
All the candy and snacks that I've been eating. But yeah, it's let's go some of these. So you plan out your tulpa. That's step 2. You can start by thinking about the form or personality you want it to have. You don't have to choose a permanent form or personality, as they're likely to deviate and grow themselves. It says plan your tulpa's appearance. You shouldn't base a tulpa off any real human, living or dead. And if you do base it off the fictional character, you have to let your tulpa know that they are not that character. They just have the same appearance. So
there it is. Plan your tulpa's appearance. Step 3.
Yeah.
Step 4. Plan your tulpa's personality. You just make this thing however you want it.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's keep going. What do we got here? One way to think of a personality is simply list as many personality traits you want your tulpa to have. So create these things pretty complicated, I guess.
Yeah, well, they eventually become a thing of their own. This fucking little fly, man. I need one of those.
I can see.
Can you see him? He's
That's
just like
not
ever so
that gentle
annoying.
little annoyance.
There's a great one. If you go down, try to touch the tulpa in your imagination. Scroll down and just
Visual.
It's just like as soon as he starts talking, it just like buzzes right in front of his forehead.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can see it on the camera.
I don't think so. I don't know where it is now. There it is. He's come back.
He's coming back around.
God damn it. Go down. Try to touch the tulpa. I like this one. Scroll down. One more. You patting him. He's giving me a little pat.
Oh, there it is. Try to touch your tulpa in your imagination.
Yeah. Create a scent so they'll smell. And yeah, like some of those things I was reading, some of the guides of how to create them, people are talking that it's taken them 2 to 3 hours, 5 days a week for 2.5 months to get their tulpa where it's free roaming.
Free roaming tulpas.
what's just in their head talks. They're not controlling it at any aspect of
We've
it.
created life. That's what they think.
Yes.
A living imaginary
There's a
friend.
very much sentient consciousness.
Now there is a dark side to this. Like a lot of the forums you'll see people saying like, "Hey, I'm having troubles with my tulpa and it giving me negative intrusive thoughts," and I'm like, "Oh, it's a little freaky." And like we said,
Negative intrusive thoughts.
and that's a tough one because with a lot of mental health issues out there, it's scary that you read some of these things on these forums and you're like, I don't know if this is the best place to get the help you're gonna need.
Yeah, the strange thing is that these are very much tulpas are very much in the realm of imaginary friends, and in the past, imaginary friends, especially with children and like developmental psychology, it was kind of considered a negative thing. Imagine a child having an imaginary friend. It was kind of a, maybe it was a form of escapism or something like that. They wouldn't. It was felt that they wouldn't be able to deal with their problems, or they would become their interaction skills, social skills would be stunted or something by having an imaginary friend. But very much this day and age, there's pretty much been a 180 in the world of psychology and
1
the
second,
opinions.
Dan.
What?
Is it me?
Gotta
again?
get away from. You got.
Is it
you
me?
got. Look how close you are, and look how hard you're breathing.
Sorry, dude. I'm trying to get my tulpa to.
I was trying to let it go, but I just couldn't do
Sorry.
it. I can't do it. You need just
Like another
lean,
one.
Lean to the left. Lean.
I'll be like Chocolate Rain. I'll.
Yeah.
Exhale out to the camera. Chocolate Rain.
Yeah. Thank you. No, think of Chocolate Rain next time you get enthralled in your reading.
Yeah.
All right, sorry,
Just getting
Dan.
pulled into it. Yeah.
Dan was giving us an awesome one there, and I ruined it. Yeah, take a drink out of that goblet.
I know. It's delicious. This is what I've been drinking out of all week.
The alcohol is slowly deteriorating the plastic.
I know. I'm gonna
You're slowly
I'm gonna get
ingesting.
super sick at the end of pod week. Yeah. So from what I was reading, a couple articles is that psychology has really made a 180 on the whole idea of people having imaginary friends, and even some psychologists, at least one, Dr. Samuel Bessiere, from the Transcultural Psychiatry, Cognitive Science, and Anthropology at McGill University in Montreal, did the first kind of academic study and provided like the first kind of academic literature on contemporary tulpomancy.
Every time you say tulpomancy.
It's too good.
When they talked about it, they were saying that the idea of having a tulpa is not exactly a bad thing. It's not. It doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing. It's not someone trying to, escape into their own reality or things like that. There's actually been recorded cases of people using tulpomancy as a way to kind of self-medicate.
Right.
Deal with their emotional problems like depression or bipolar disorder, things like that, because tulpomancy gives you the ability, or that's what they claim, is that tulpomancy gives you the ability to put a face or like a way to interact, a kind of concrete way to interact with your emotions. So, and I could see how that could be
Kind of like separate your negative stuff into a different entity, make it
easier to kind of have
cope with.
or
whatever.
have like an internal dialogue with. I could see that
Rather than
as
just
a
thinking
thing.
in your own head, you're actually thinking you're
right
talking to something or somebody.
And if you have a
Well, I think probably all of us as a kid at one point or another had pretended we had an imaginary
Oh,
friend.
for
So
100%,
that
yeah.
at some point that could be you manifesting a tulpa. Can be considered.
Just creating that outlet for you to figure out what's happening.
Well, yeah. Even if you read a couple of these, like these WikiHows and stuff, I mean, it's a lot of as you do as a kid. You picture this thing, you talk to it. It's not there.
Yeah.
It's in your head, but you start manifesting it to be there, right, in your own head. So I'm like, that's what I associate it to, is like most closely to like having imaginary friends when you're a kid.
Yeah, I mean, the human mind's pretty powerful, so.
Very powerful.
Yeah, they.
And I'm not meaning that derogatory.
No, I know,
People
I know.
find it therapeutic to do that as an
But I could
adult.
see if you were like, if
whatever
you were
wanna
trying
do.
to create a tulpa for hours a week for a month,
right.
you would like give it like such a personality and it'd be so deep to you that it would feel real. Probably.
Yeah. A lot of people who kind of identify with the tulpas subculture in a few interviews, a lot of them will write fantasy stories and stuff like this. I know a lot of writers talk about when they develop characters, how they become real to them. And that's kind of the hallmark of some people as good writers, is that you create characters that kind of stand on their own. And when you create a character and it takes a life of its own, I'm sure many writers are like, it makes it much easier, when you're
thinking outside your own writing ability.
Right. Well,
you've created this separate thing. Yeah.
So, a lot of the tulpomancers out there, contemporary tulpomancers, are, very creative, imaginative individuals. Tulpomancy, apparently, like, since it's been around for hundreds of years, if you go back into the roots of Tibetan Buddhist mysticism, but actually in the last decade, it's kind of come to the forefront due to at least one subculture, the My Little Pony subculture.
My Little Pony.
Yes, it came to the forefront of kind of popular culture, where these individuals who have a very strong.
Easy, Dan. I don't want the My Little Pony community coming after us.
The bronies, otherwise known as the bronies, subculture kind of
more like jabronis.
Took a hold.
What's in here, you jabroni?
They're gonna come over here with their body pillows and stuff, man.
What was the quote you said earlier?
Well, yeah. At first, it kind of the whole tulpa, the concept of the tulpa kind of took off in that kind of community. So you had these entire community of My Little Pony fans trying to create their own tulpas based on the characters within the My Little Pony series. So you could have.
I don't know a lot about My Little Pony.
I don't either.
It sounds like a weird.
Yeah. My Little Ponies is it was an '80s cartoon, and then it became they redid the thing, and then somehow it took root in some
like middle-aged men.
Yeah, very strange. But whatever. If that's what you like it. And so right behind that, since the internet is pretty much everything gets mixed up in the internet.
Yeah.
The whole kind of, the anime and the manga and the fantasy subcultures also joined in on the tulpomancy fun. So now you've got tons of, message boards, subreddits, forums, everything, entire websites dedicated to how to create a tulpa, how to interact with your tulpa, trying to get advice on how to advance romantic relationship with your tulpa.
Yeah, how to sleep with your tulpa.
Wait.
Zell, can we? Yeah,
There's a disproportionate amount of people who want to have sex with their tulpa. That's what I'm just saying now. From looking at this, from looking at the forums and the posts on these, there's a lot of people that want to have sex with their tulpa.
So you create a sexual tulpa.
No, because you're not supposed to do that, because that goes against the whole kind of tulpa credo.
So you create a tulpa
ethics.
You create a tulpa, and then you gotta woo your tulpa into being sexual with you.
Yes, and because they have a mind of their own.
They might say no.
They might say no.
So there's
they are a separate entity.
I can't imagine rejection. There's no rejection like the rejection of one's own tulpa.
It's very strange. I know. I read at least one article when they talked about having sexual relations with your tulpa, and it was quickly, they quickly.
It's called masturbating. Dan.
Well, they said that's what it said. They basically, they're like equate. It's essentially jacking off, except you disassociate with reality and you go wild in your wonderland.
Sounds like porn.
I don't know. I'm just sitting here, I'm reading this stuff. I mean,
is Wonderland code? Because I see Wonderland pop up in a lot of the forum that I didn't open. I wonder if Wonderland's
I can't remember. It's stuff.
That's
It's
code
their
for
imaginary
stuff.
land. It's their I think that is just like the world that their tulpa exists in. It's just that other reality in
That
which
is-
the
Man.
right. And so, but again, tulpas are very much within their own mind, so they exist within the confines of the mind of their creator, their person. They and that's one of the ways I say to discern it from
Question.
Dissociative identity disorder, because it's not a hallucination. You shouldn't be able to see your tulpa.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to see it.
Just feel it. Question.
Yes.
How many tulpas can I create? And how many tulpas, so you can have a tulpa orgy?
According to the sources that we checked, they said that
Not
it's
incredible.
the claims say that it's difficult to have more than 2 tulpas.
Yes, you've got to be like a level 10 tulpamancer.
Yeah.
to-
I'm happy with having a threesome tulpa. That's all right. Threesome, you can't. It'd be hard to satisfy more tulpas than that, I think.
I hate to break it to you, it's just still masturbating.
There is a whole I'm pretty sure somewhere there is an entire 20-page website about tulpa ethics, because there's a whole thing in there where these people have very strong feelings about creating a tulpa specifically for sex.
Oh yeah, that's
A lot of people like that's a big no-no.
from like
You know
until
what?
I
That's a
big
found
no-no.
internet
This
porn.
is-
That was
Don't do it.
I'm gonna have to take a sip of this for this talk about sexual tulpas.
That's all I was doing, like from 11 to 13, 14, creating tulpas for sex.
You
You monster!
It's a tulpa genocide. Like,
Make him kill him. Make him kill him.
really?
Wait, so can you cheat? Here's a question. You create a tulpa.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
You woo this tulpa over. You have sexual relations with this tulpa.
Yep.
But now you've subsequently created a second tulpa. Can you cheat on tulpas?
Well,
Well, then that kind of brings in the thing like, well, yes, because if it's cheating, well, technically you would have to define cheating as you're
You've
hurting
agreed
another.
for the one to
that-
stay
that-
faithful to the one tulpa.
Well, that's an entity in its own self. So it's like you'd
Right.
have to be like, if it's an entire sentient entity, it's like, can I cheat? It's like cheating. Like if you had a sex robot, like,
Well, a sex robot,
but
you
more
can
beyond
cheat.
that. Like,
Sex
we're
robot,
drawing the line. That's not cheating.
sex robot, you could put your penis inside of it.
so, and then is it
You
cheating?
can do that with a with a lot of things.
That's what I'm saying. But you can't do it with an imaginary tulpa.
But
True.
You can.
Nothing actually happens. You close your eyes. The tulpa controls your hand. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know.
No,
I'm
it's,
not.
it even stretches further than that.
I'm not well
Just,
versed in the
could you-
mechanics of tulpa sex. Like,
Is there-
I would say that right now.
Is there tulpa cheating on other tulpas? There's forum posts about people asking if having a normal relationship with another human is cheating
Cheating on your tulpa?
because they've had a romantic relationship with their tulpa. And I've got one of those posts right here. It's
Oh,
my
here we
favorite
go.
one. Would this be considered cheating? Oh, I love, first off, I'm not going to say the name of this, but I love how this was written. Hi, I have a moral dilemma, and I can't stop feeling guilty because of this. I am I used to love B, a human, way before I made my tulpa, C. Now me, A, and my tulpa, C, love each other romantically. Everything was fine until the other day I, A, had a dream. I, A, dreamed of my former lover, B. He, B,
What's going on?
told me that he loved me. A, feel that I still love him, B, since then. However, I, A, am no longer in contact with him, B. So our love, A and B, would be impossible. I, A, want to forget him, B, forever and make a new life with my tulpa, C. I, A, feel so guilty because despite not being able to control my feelings for my former lover, B, want to love my tulpa, C. And here comes the problem. Should I, A, change my tulpa's C form and name to my former lover's B and pretend he, C, was him, B? Would that be cheating on him, C? Or would this be the solution? Or should we, A and C, do something else? What do you, D, think? I, A, feel so bad about this, and he, C, is worried about me. We need like a chart, a flow chart.
I think that's an entire conspiracy wall of.
I think you should ABC your way out. Like that was a real fucking slow burn. Like it just kept going, all to the point that and it was. Oh God, that just went on for way too long. He read that before, and I was like, fuck. I was like, supposed to go on way too long just to get to a point. Like, should I make my imaginary friend look like my fucking ex?
Yeah, and name him my ex.
Is that cheating somehow?
Yeah, it definitely took the long way around to ask that. And people are like, no, he can. It's all good. Like, don't worry about it. You can love more than two people. You can name him. It's fine.
That was actually an interesting point. I read in a couple articles about the kind of Tulpa subcultures. A lot of them identify as kind of gender fluid. They have kind of I guess what you would call not unorthodox, not exactly unorthodox, but kind of the those ideas of you can love more than one person, and kind of just the way that those things work. They had their opinions on that. A lot of them were kind of that.
Free love.
Yeah, they have the very different opinions about relationships and like how they kind of work.
I mean, there's lots of different ways relationships can work. Just having cheating sex with tulpas isn't usually one of them.
Strange. This is like when we got into this topic, like this is almost. It's really fascinating, and I thought it was kind of, we looked at it at surface level. It's like, oh man, that's fucking crazy. When you get into it, it's actually a lot very interesting, like socially, kind of the way that things work in these subcultures. It's all like, I was almost as fascinated as when I found out about incels like 2 or 3 years ago, and I found out that was a thing, like incels, involuntary celibates, and like I got into that for like a second. I was like, wow.
What do you mean you got into
that?
No,
like I got into it. I was like, this is so mind bending. Like the people really think this.
What is
like,
it with all those Brads and Stacys or whatever? Chads and Stacys.
Yeah, it like when it kind of started coming into the like bleeding into my social awareness. It was kind of like, what is this?
What do you mean? I don't know much about this. So there's a group of people that are celibate their whole life.
And it's evolved. It's evolved very much. It's evolved a lot since like when I first started. Since I learned about it. There's a whole like there's things about red pills and black pills, and there's a whole kind of they've splintered off. Like there's things. It's absolutely fascinating. Also terrible, but
it's they believe it's like. It's involuntary celibate.
Like their main belief is that it's not these men. It's all men.
All men.
Yeah. Believe
Sexist.
that. Yeah. A lot of them. If you went to them and talked to them, it's like a lot of them. A majority, probably like 98-99% of them hold like misogynistic kind of views of women and negative views of women and female and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Femininity. And they feel that they are being persecuted because they feel like they're for physical reasons that they're ugly or things like that. But it boils down to these are people who feel like they're owed sex, like it's like
they're
a human right.
They
are entitled to sex,
but then they
women.
don't ever have it.
Yeah, they're involuntary celibate because women don't want to have sex with them, so they feel like these, and it gets real dark real fast.
It gets so dark.
They don't get any pussy, so they become super bitter and then try not to get any more pussy.
Here's the scary thing. There's been terrorist attacks committed by this incel group in Toronto. A guy who claims this, he wanted to attack the Chads and the Stacys to show them.
What are the Chads and the Stacys?
Those are the beautiful women and the
people who look like Braden,
and obviously the Brads
Sasquatch
and
level,
like me,
Sasquatch level,
Sasquatch level,
just killing it out there. But he drove a van and killed 10 people and injured 16.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it had to do with.
Yeah. Well, he identified as part of that community.
Yeah, part of that community. Yeah.
And it's gotten really I mean, there's kind of offshoots of it as well. There's also MGTOW, men go their own way, where they basically say, we're going our and go their own way.
We're separating
We're
from
separating from society. Like, we don't need women. Like, it's well, then, like, in 60 years or whatever, like, you're all going to be dead. So, like,
good for you, I guess.
And it's just, and the Tulpa thing, when I got into it, I was like, wow, this goes real deep. Like, this goes real deep. And when I look at it, I'm like, it's mostly harmless. Like, it's not anything they point out beneficial points to it. It is a way to interact with your emotions. Because I could feel like these people who do, I don't want to say everybody, but it feels like those people who do create imaginary friends or tulpas or whatever, perhaps they're not, or they haven't been properly equipped to kind of interact in majority society. So you kind of create your own friends, so that way you at least have something.
Create your own tulpas.
Right. So you create your own tulpas, but it's just like, if you were never taught, because I think it's an acquired skill of like how to deal with your emotions, how to identify like how you feel and how to interact with your emotions and how to kind of think for yourself. Kind of part of this is kind of like, well, yeah, you can do this now. Like, you can kind of create your own friend, and it's just their way of it's almost like adapting to kind of like where I'm sure like a lot of these people, because they come kind of from the articles I read, like a lot of people are like the animes and the mangas and the fantasy subcultures, which I like anime. I like fantasy.
Tentacle porn.
I'm sure there's people in there that like that. I'm sure they have.
There's a lot of tentacle porn out
there. They got squid tulpas and stuff. Sure, why not? But a lot of them, I'm sure, have problems relating to other people outside of the internet. Because it's also kind of part of the internet is you're able to find friends, but you're never really like kind of face-to-face interaction. You kind of sacrifice face-to-face interaction to interact with a lot more people.
You get quantity, but not quality.
Right. So you could say that some of these, like, maybe they were isolated, like their family kind of isolated them, or didn't know how to interact with them, or just didn't know how to kind of relate to them.
Did you get them?
No.
I missed. I was trying to time it, but I hit the wrong button.
Around just around my face here.
I created that bug.
Is that your tulpa?
That's my tulpa.
Tell him to suck my ass. Ooh.
I'll tell him right now.
So I don't think these things are dangerous. I don't think
they're dangerous at all. No. I think it just, humans have a very powerful imagination, and if your life doesn't go as normal, like as normal life goes, right, with at least a few good friends and whatever, like a lot of different circumstances, what's wrong with creating a couple of imaginary tulpas?
A lot, and also like it's the tulpamancy is associated with meditation. Like that's part of it. It's kind of like
another part of the brain.
Sitting there for 150, sitting for somewhere like 150 hours, and pretty much just thinking to yourself about qualities that you would like to see in a person, or that a friend, or things like that, could very much not. That's kind of a good way to kind of whatever. I know some schools even now are giving meditation classes, or like you don't go to detention, you go to meditation class. Like if you're being, like if they have a kid who's being disruptive in class, there are a couple of schools that have instituted a policy of taking the kids out of class and just putting them to meditation, like teaching them meditation skills
rather than trying to force them into something that's not working.
Rather like you're going to detention, you need to write 100 words on the board, or punishing them in some way.
That never works.
Yeah, but you need to like just calm yourself, think about it, self-reflection, things like that. And very much like the kind of tulpamancy is I see it very similar and kind of doing that.
I find it funny that when some people had suggested tulpas, we were like, oh, we should do tulpas this week. None of us had really looked into it, and we're like, oh yeah, maybe we could do a cryptid crushathon with tulpas and something else. I was like, tulpas will get crushed by everything, it sounds like to me.
Well, I can create the most powerful. Looks like. I can create the most powerful fucking tulpa of all time.
Yeah, then you get killed and it dies with you.
How would I get killed?
By whatever cryptid we're putting it up against.
So if my tulpa dies, I die.
Yep. Tulpas lose because they're not physically manifested outside the body. Like they don't have a physical body.
So it's like,
maybe it's in a different dimension.
If we were gonna say fight your tulpa against Bigfoot, basically that would be you versus Bigfoot.
But I can create a way more powerful version of
Yes,
myself.
but all your tulpa can do is advise you. As Bigfoot
Kick his ass, Zell.
is just
All right. Hit him in the shin.
throttling you back and forth.
Just ragdolling me by my ankle. Just smash me on the ground.
Fatality.
Rips my spine clean out.
Yep.
Okay, well, fair. Can't beat Bigfoot with tulpa.
But there is definitely some, like, reading the post and stuff, it does work. There is some, for me, I'm like, ooh, some of this, I'm like, a little bit of mental health symptoms. Not all of them. Like, I'm not saying everyone who does this is, but I was like, some of these posts, I was like, I think these people should be getting professional help and not seeking from a message board.
There's a lot to be said with like having genuine social interaction, face-to-face interaction, because it's like, I think a lot of people say it's like, oh, they need professional help, and it's like, oh, you're crazy. But no, sometimes you just need somebody to talk to. Like, you just need a therapist, just somebody who can talk to you, or
Yep.
has your best interests at heart, really, to see you thrive. And
Yeah, those type of people like make you say or think the things that you want to hear and make you realize probably
And-
more effectively
right,
than
or
a tulpa.
at least more effectively than a tulpa, which is going to pretty much, it's like, from what I've seen, it's really just like an echo of like what you think and what you believe. It doesn't know anything more than you know.
You're just putting like your collection of thoughts or
Right. It's going to
traits
reinforce.
together.
Yeah, it's just going to reinforce whatever thoughts and, like I said, whatever thoughts and preconceptions that you already have. So it's just an echo.
Do people create dangerous tulpas? Extremely dangerous, like psychopathic tulpas?
If you read a couple of the forums, and I'll hand this to the tulpa community, there is posts of people saying that they have tulpas that are being negative and telling them to hurt each other or torturing the people mentally, and the community right away is pretty much like, stop,
Kill that tulpa.
go get some help, like go to see a psychiatrist, go like,
Yeah.
this isn't normal, this
Like,
isn't normal tulpa activity.
Yeah, a tulpa is supposed to be a reflection. Is basically like a reflection or an idealized reflection of yourself and your values. So if it's doing something like that, then that would mean that that person is already having those thoughts.
Right.
Right. And so it's like, but then again, like that's almost like a positive thing, getting it out there and putting it into that community, and allows people being, you've identified that you need help. Like
Yeah.
you need to go talk to somebody about these thoughts and like how to deal
Because
with
there's also posts of people so involved with their tulpas that they're asking, how can I disconnect and be connected to my tulpa all the time? Like, I want to live in the wonderland with my tulpa. I don't want to, that's it. How do I get to that point to control these hallucinations? That's pretty much pooched.
It's got a little bit in there.
But yeah, the community in itself, like if you read these forums, when you see these posts, are very quick to early on say, hey, get some help. Maybe this isn't a process for you because it doesn't sound like it's helping. So
Yeah, this topic went a lot deeper than I thought it was.
You know what? You know what? It actually sounds like tulpas, if used correctly, are probably not a bad thing. Even if you can't beat Bigfoot with one.
No,
Yeah.
you can't.
that's all I had on tulpas, really.
Yeah, we said we go for about 40, 45, and
Dan, you didn't once say your line that you practiced. You said earlier, made me laugh. You said waifu is.
Oh, yeah. When it talked about the anime community getting in on the whole tulpa thing, I was like, oh man, happy waifu, happy laifu. Because that is a thing. You see those kind of things when you get like, I like anime.
yep.
Yeah.
I'm not like a huge weeaboo as I think. I'm not a weeb. Like maybe I am like a little bit, but whatever.
I don't even know what that is.
Me either.
What's a weeb?
It's a person who likes fucking anime. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah. It's technically, I guess, a derogatory term.
I
It can
feel
be
like
that,
that's
but like,
not-
fuck, I don't give a fuck if I'm a weeb. Like,
You're a weeb. Who
I
cares?
like fucking anime. I like Dragon Ball Z.
I like Dragon Ball Z too.
I like Akira. I like fucking.
I still
Naruto.
haven't seen any Dragon Ball Super yet, though.
That's fucking cool.
Is it good?
Not
The best?
no, like the last fight maybe. Like the Dragon Ball Super is basically just one big tournament, and then of course, because those are always the best ones, but the end is like the only really good fight. the last fight is the best.
Is it better than the Frieza saga?
Oh yeah, the last fight is like the best Dragon
best
Ball
battle
Z fight ever.
What Super Saiyan are they up to now?
No, it's Super Saiyan God. Super Saiyan.
God Super Saiyan. God
Super
knows.
Saiyan God Super Saiyan Kaioken times 10. 100.
1,000?
Kaioken.
Lots of
Super
Kaioken.
Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Kaioken. Oh, and then Ultra Instinct.
Jesus, I'm behind. I gotta get back
Ultra
on.
Instinct is the shit. But yeah, like there's a thing where you have a lot of people who have this, you know, the fucking, it gets real cringy in some of these things, and it's like, you know, notice me senpai, and they fucking, there's a game. I've never
Wait,
played
what does
them.
senpai mean?
Senpai is like a senpai is like an older classmate, like whatever. And there's this whole thing where kind of like,
I thought a senpai was like the intern of the dojo, like works under the sensei.
it's like senpai. It's like
Senpai.
It's like you're, well, kind of like that, but it's like you're older. Whatever.
You're the bridge between the students.
It's kind of like your mentor.
Oh,
I
okay.
guess. Something like that.
All right.
But there's the whole thing where that kind of shit gets into, and it's kind of like these guys, like they anthropomorphize, or they kind of take like these anime characters, and you got your waifus, dude. And some people, I mean, it's fun sometimes. You're like, yo, that anime girl is waifu material. Like, it's always really like, me and my friends joke about that shit all the time. We don't take it really seriously, but there are people out there who take it super seriously. And like, I never owned a body pillow. If you bought me one, I'd be like, hell yeah, that's kind of funny and cool. Like, if you got me one, I would never buy one on my own.
I've had a body pillow that, like, when I was a kid, but it didn't have any faces or
Until you drew one
sexy,
on me.
scantily.
Dressing up your body pillow.
Yeah, it just was like a navy sheet. It was a nice pillow. Real nice.
Real nice
Real
pillow.
nice. Yeah.
Velvety.
Got me through a lot of long, lonely nights.
But there is that whole kind of subculture, and it goes in the thing. But then you could say that for the extremes of any subculture,
Yep.
shit gets real weird. And most of
I
it,
wonder what the extreme of podcasting culture is. What is the what are people podcasting about that you wouldn't even think they're podcasting about?
I think anything you could put, everybody's
Oh,
podcasting about everything.
Everything, yeah.
There's just like some dirty, deep
I mean,
Triple X Sucks Dungeon podcast.
yeah, probably. There's a porn
Probably.
podcast somewhere out there, probably.
100%, dude. 100%. There's some.
Something I've never went looking for, but maybe now I will.
There's probably porn podcasts out there, I guarantee.
There's a Pornhub podcast.
That's cool. We should listen to that.
That's probably really good.
It's probably really awesome.
I'd like to get to know those girls better.
Yeah, so I mean, you could say that for any kind of social, you know,
Yeah.
social group. There's always extremes, and there's things like that. And you know, as long as you, I would say, I enjoy anime to a healthy degree. For me, I feel like I enjoy it to a healthy degree. I appreciate some of it, but there's some shit in anime that I'm like, that's not okay. Like,
Yeah.
that's not all right. That's real.
Too far?
Yeah, I'm like, that's not how you're supposed to do that. But you know, whatever. Like, if you got a body pillow and like you're down with that, like,
And you've manifested it to talk back to you, and
yeah.
you go to Wonderland together, sure.
If that's like, if you're not hurting anybody,
Yeah, I
and
don't
you've
care.
got a,
Yeah.
you know, you can exist in you're a productive member of society. I'll be like, yeah, cool, man. It's like, whatever.
That
Yeah,
really.
this was a cryptid that I thought was going to be dark and sinister,
Yeah, so did I.
and then I went,
It's not so much a cryptid. It's just
huh?
And then you're
Entity.
like, Elvin Fox ladies, what?
Yeah, and I was like, brownies? I was like, what?
Brownies?
What is going on here?
Why did it's like,
And
yeah.
from now on, they'll be referred to as only jabronis.
jabronis.
So
Yeah,
That's
you're
probably
gonna
that's probably a
if
whole
you've
nother.
never seen it, like, you might have to look up something.
That's a whole nother subculture.
So weird.
Jabronis is probably just a subculture. Everyone just dresses like The Rock and has sex with each other.
bronies.
No, brownies gets real weird real fast. I've seen a couple of videos. You're like, oh, fuck. Like, you feel so bad. Like, the cringe hurts. It hurts.
There's videos of bronies.
yeah.
What the
Okay,
fuck?
one
It's like, they're proud of it. They're proud of their whole
Bronies.
subculture, and it gets really, really weird, and stuff gets like really,
Yes,
really
it's
weird.
Really weird.
There's some real NSFW shit out there with
Okay,
this.
can we, Zell, forget pulling up brony stuff?
Real men who love My Little Pony. Adult men who love My Little Pony.
Yeah.
Bronies.
Yes.
Zell, can you pull up the not safe for work Tulpa Reddit, please?
Not safe for work.
Tulpa Reddit.
Tulpa's gone
basically,
wild.
Tulpa's gone wild. What it is, it's people who post X-rated pictures of their tulpas or they're tulpas in vulnerable positions, spread eagle on the beds, naked in the bathrooms and stuff. So let's
which one? Okay, I got. Can you screw a tulpa? Is it safe to create a tulpa to keep you company?
I think you got to go say Tulpas Gone Wild. Reddit.
Yeah, it's Tulpas Gone Wild.
Tulpas Gone Wild, and we'll look at a couple. Let's analyze a couple of the pictures of
Gone Wild 18, 19-year-old girls. No.
No. Well, we'll click on that later.
Wait. Oh, I think I forgot the L.
Bookmark.
Tulp. I can't read that far because the screen's off.
Yeah, no, you got it there.
T. Is this it? Where's
Yeah,
the L?
you got-
There's an L in
Is that
there.
it?
Tulpas Gone Wild, Reddit.
Yeah, for the wildest.
For the wildest tulpas.
No, down one. Tulpas Gone Wild.
Okay, let's go back.
And this is a not safe for work. You have to be 18 or over to click on it.
Okay.
So let's.
Where are we going down here?
Is this the one?
I'm not 100% sure. Like,
Tulpas Gone Wild.
Go back to the
Gone
other one.
Wild for Imaginary Friends.
Yeah, go to the top one. The
For
one
the wildest of tulpas. Reddit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I got him
Not safe
18.
for work. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
The first one's exposing myself in public. Whew. This is prepare
Wait.
yourself. Not safe
These
for
are
work.
extremely good.
Exposing myself in public. The tulpa is exposed. It's because only you can see your tulpa.
It's extremely funny. I was like 100% when I looked this up and I pulled it up. They
The
had
first
it in one
comment.
article.
What the fuck is a tulpa?
This was they highlighted this in one article about this subreddit, and it was just like they're like, this is an example of like the tulpa subculture and the kind of sense of humor they have. They have a very good sense of humor, and it's a subreddit, Tulpas Gone Wild, and it's dedicated to pictures of alleged pictures of people's tulpas doing not safe for work stuff, and it's all because tulpas are invisible. Every picture, there's nothing.
Here's another one. Felt naughty in this alien desert. Wait, this is too funny now. Oh my god.
Oh, it's really funny.
Okay,
I was laughing for a good 5 minutes straight.
Let's do one more.
Oh, this fucking mouse stopped working again. This is some bullshit. Okay, well, when that started working again, we'll pull on it.
But it's hilarious. There's shots of empty bathrooms being like tulpa felt cute, might take down later. It's just empty bathroom. Beach, me, tulpa in bikini.
Topless bikini.
Topless
top.
bikini.
Oh my god.
And it's
All
just a
right, we're
picture
back
of
up. We're back up and running.
just a picture of a beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's
Here's what.
frisky in the bathroom.
Wow.
Wow.
All right. Wait. There's got to be one more.
Pretty
Let's do one more.
genius.
Let's
I
do
think
one
it's
more.
pretty good.
Come to
Oh.
bed with me. All right. Let me just finish up on Reddit.
Not safe for work.
That's a sexy looking door.
That's a sexy tulpa.
That's fun.
I know what I'll be thinking about tonight. Is that cheating if I think about someone else's tulpa?
Hey, save that door picture for later.
Ooh, yeah. Bookmark those.
Yeah.
That's all I had on tulpa.
That's all I got for tulpas, I think. That was fun.
Thanks, guys. Patreon. It's Pod Week, so if you're listening to this, if you watch the live stream, it's live. If you're listening to the podcast version, this was recorded during Pod Week. Thanks for all the support to Patreoners. We love you guys, and we'll see you soon. Keep those eyes on the skies.
Tonight, 7 p.m. Multiverse. Let me play this little stuff. What do we got? This one.